Hey guys, have Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. So I did say in my previous video, I wasn't gonna make a video before Christmas. But I lied. I am gonna do a quick little technical analysis of Claudio Romero, a Chilean discus thrower, former NCAA record holder before Miklos Alekna. Has a Chile national record at 67.49 meters and is a multiple time NCAA champion, a Paris Olympian, a two-time qualifier for world championships in 21 and 22, 22, 23, and overall a hell of a technician, a hell of a guy. Always performs in the big moments. Has been injured the past couple of years, which is very sad. But this is him when he was being coached by one of the greatest discus coaches, in my opinion, at least right now, and Martin Merrick, who is currently the coach at USC. But him himself was a former Olympian for Croatia, a former 66, 67 meter discus thrower. And is also was the coach of plenty and plenty of absolute monsters in the sport for the NCAA. All right. So, and also fun fact, Claudio is one of the only people who have actually beat Miklos Alekna in competition. Well, not one of the only. He actually gets beat quite a bit. But other than that, let's get into this. So I was gonna originally have him do like a underrated thrower series video for him, but I mean, I decided just to make a technical video. I mean, I don't know. I hope he's not underrated, but yeah, I think he's a beautiful technician. I also think he does a whole lot of unique things. So let me just play this a couple times. This is him throwing 64 meters. Oops. There. So, as you can see, very fluid. Some very unique things. Very unique things. We'll play it one more time. I just love the rhythm of his throw. Very rhythmical. The dun da dum. Left, right, left. Very, very nice technical. Very nice technical throw. All right. Super consistent. And he does a lot of subtle and very unique things that we're going to get into right now. So let's get into this. So right off the bat, he's starting really duck-footed, which is like the toes pointed out, which I really like that because it opens up the hips. I know this isn't filmed directly in the back, but this is the best video I could find somewhere near the back of him throwing decently far. So he's here, but he starts narrow, but as he winds back, you see how he kind of picks up his left foot a little bit, and now he's a lot wider and a little more shoulder width in his feet. Gets here still evenly balanced, a little bit of a lean down with his shoulders, but if you notice, he leans down with his shoulders just a little bit, but the arms are still down a little. So I really like this. It's a very nice, easy, comfortable, consistent wind for him. And so he's here, really nice here. And what he does is something you see Miklos Alekna do, Gerd Kanter used to do. It's a very good style that I really love and my preferred style of coaching. It's going to be kind of hard to see what I'm talking about in a couple seconds because of just the angle of the video, but I hope just bear with me here. All right, so he keeps the left arm inside. I personally, that's either like a here or there thing. That's more like a comfort thing for me when I coach an athlete. It's not like at this point, it's fine. I mean, I personally like to use the left arm a little more, but I mean, it doesn't really matter, honestly. But here, as long as you keep the discus back behind this hip, you're golden. All right, you notice flat foot right here with his right foot, and he's going to try and keep this grounded as long as possible. Now, Claudio throws, and he has excellent mobility. In fact, pretty actually above average mobility for a male discus thrower, in my opinion. The positions he hits are actually kind of crazy out the back, and we're going to see that in a second. Oh, shoot. Sorry. I do apologize for that. If you guys could hear that, that was a notification on my phone. I forgot to turn off my noise settings. I do apologize. But anyway, let's get into this. So he gets here really nice, even. And what he's going to do is he's not going to shift over his left in like the traditional sense. But what he's going to do is, I like to say, get weight over the left instead of shift, which this kind of style lends to. And he's going to do that by leading with this left knee instead of the left foot. And what I mean by that is the left knee will get out wide and around, and everything else will kind of just fall in line. So what this is going to do is going to help gravity take over, and I like to call it more of like a fall out the back, but like a gravity fall, if that makes sense. You're going to see what I mean in just a minute. We're going to get to that. So he's still keeping the left arm inside. And right here, so the left foot is at 90 right here. His heel is actually a little bit down, which that's okay. I mean, it's not stopping. I really actually like the low heels out the back. If you're on your tippy toes out the back, you're going to be super unbalanced. So you want to stay pretty grounded. As long as you're not stopping and your heels aren't impeding you, so they shouldn't be like on the ground, but you shouldn't be like on your tippy toes. All right, so right here, really nice here. And you notice, so right now, if we were facing directly face to the back, his left groin right here would be facing us right now if we were facing in the direct back. All right. Now, if you notice, his right foot still has not picked up, which I love, because what this is doing is creating a tremendous stretch. So a good way to know if you're getting a good stretch reflex out the back is if you feel a ginormous stretch in between your legs or your groin. All right, right here. So if you don't know what your groin is, the groin is just the inside of your thigh, is basically what it is. All right. So if you got to feel it there. So it should feel like a stretch, especially in discus. You got to feel stretchy. All right. Stretch is key. All right. So you're here. He's here. Really, really nice. So what this is doing is creating tension. So when this right foot picks up, now that stretch reflex is going to snap him around. All right. So he's here. And also what this is doing, so what he's doing is I just learned a new term yesterday that kind of sums up what I usually say out the back. It's called spreading the floor. So what that means is, and I've said this multiple times in almost every video I've done, but spread the floor, I think, is a good cue, because it kind of just sums up what I usually say. And what I mean by that is, so spreading the floor is kind of oh shoot, I didn't mean to zoom in. The feet and the legs and God, why do you keep zooming in? The feet and the legs and just the whole lower body kind of go out, and you kind of spread this way. All right. So what that means is, as this left foot and left knee are going out that way, this right knee is going to go out that way. All right, so opposite directions. And these opposite directions are going to create even more stretch and even more stretch reflex, which is going to, in turn, give you a lot more torque, a lot more energy through the throw. And you're going to be using a lot more physics instead of just brute force out the back. And it's going to just make you a lot more fluid, and it's going to make you a lot more snappy in your throw. And the throw just way easier. All right. So he's here, and you notice how his right knee is not going in, it's going out. I know well, maybe it's kind of hard to notice because of the angle of this video. But his right knee, let me get a straight line. His right knee's going out, left knee going in, out. But you notice how it's also kind of pointing down a little bit, and his hips are kind of angled just a little bit down. So he's starting to fall right here. And I know when people say fall out the back, that's usually a bad thing. But with this style, it's predicated that you fall. But it's not in the traditional sense, but I'll get to that in just a second. So he's here, and you notice how when the right foot finally picks up, how it goes out this way to the right and then around. So it goes like that. So we're going to see it right here. Out and then out. Sorry, to the right and then forward. And now look, now he has a tremendous stretch here. All right. And he has a super steep shin angle. His shin is almost vertical, which I really like. It's a very hard thing to do. So this is a style of throw that's really taxing on your body. Can lead to super far throws. If you are a more heavy set thrower, so someone who weighs like 280 plus and doesn't rely a lot on speed, probably not the best style technique for you, because you're probably going to hurt your knee a lot because it's very taxing on your knee. So you got to be super mobile, first of all. And most guys that size aren't super mobile. And you got to rely a lot more on speed. So this kind of style translates a lot more to someone built like Claudio here, who is not like the biggest dude in the world. Like, obviously he's big and strong and tall, but like he's not like Mason Finley or something, or Daniel Stahl. Like, he's not like 300 pounds. Like he's pretty lean and relies a whole lot more on speed and fluidity, and has a lot more linear style of approach to the throw, which I personally really like. So it's very, very in contrast to someone like the Jamaican throwers, so like a Dakers, so who are very, very rotational, very, very long, which I also like. It also just depends on the thrower. So I threw a lot more like Claudio, because I relied a lot more on speed, and I wasn't very strong, and I had to rely a lot more on momentum. And obviously, I'm not Claudio, because I didn't throw 67 freaking meters, and he's definitely taller and stronger and more athletic than me. So, but it's just like, you just have to kind of find out which kind of style technique's right for you. So that's a very important thing. So I'm not even saying this style is right for everyone. It's a very hard thing to do, this type of style, but it can lead to super far throws if you can do it. Miklos Alekna, obviously world record holder, he does this. Gerd Kanter, my goat, he does this style. Claudio, another fantastic thrower, does this. Alexander Tamert does it. I guess Peter Malachowski to an extent. Lars Riedel. A whole lot of them have done this style. So I really like this. So as his sweep gets in, so we're here. Personally, I would like this left arm just a little more flat. But that's a very nitpicky thing. It's not a hindrance, so it's not like he's falling. Well, okay, sorry. I know it's kind of... he is falling. But it's like... I liken it to like a trust fall, kind of. So, like, if you lean forward a lot until the point where you have to catch yourself from falling, I kind of liken it to that kind of feeling. Where in that time that you take the step forward, you notice that drastic speed that you get because your body just naturally reacts, because what this style is doing is it's going to feel like you're going to fall. So what your body is going to naturally try and do is catch itself. So it's going to dramatically speed up, and it's just a natural reaction. All right. So, and with the stretch reflex you get out the back, it's going to dramatically speed you up considerably. All right. So you're here, or he's here, leading with the groin really like that. And So if you notice also, so with the left arm, so he does kind of like what Gerd Kanter used to do, where, so out the back, this is honestly pretty reminiscent of like a Peter Malachowski out the back. This kind of position, so leading with the, leading with the left knee, left arm inside the left knee, but now he's here, left knee stops, it slams. Now the sweep leg gets around, and now he kind of opens with his left arm, and I really, really like that, because I do like holding the left arm, but if you can do this, what's more important is holding the left chest. So you see, like, he kind of looks like he's doing like an anime run, or like the arms are behind him, and he's kind of just sprinting forward. I really like that. It's a very hard thing to do, and it's very hard to control that. But if you notice, he's keeping his chest forward, and he's not letting the arms. He's not letting this left arm going back here affect his right arm. So this is a very hard thing to do. Obviously, he's a very high-level thrower, but he's here. And what I really like, and why I like him kind of opening this left arm a lot more than would be normal, is because it helps him get more around, it basically doesn't restrict his lower body. And as long as you hold the chest to the front, you can get away with this. Now, again, that's a very hard thing to do, and I would not recommend it for like a beginner to intermediate type of thrower. You have to be a really good technician to do it. All right, so he gets here, really good flight phase. So if you notice here too, so this really insane shin angle, and then you notice how he doesn't fully extend. So he's not up, so he's not hopping up. It's very linear. All right, so he's here, holds the chest until the sweep gets around, and now he's off. And then you notice the timing. So he gets off the left foot when the right foot lands, and actually, hold on, oops, I skipped a frame. Yeah, so right here is technically his touchdown, but I like to think here is more his touchdown. So what I classify as a touchdown is when you actually have weight on the foot. So right here, it grounds, and then here it actually has weight. So, but even when it grounds, look at where his left foot is. So I see this a lot in beginners, is when this right foot lands in the middle, the left foot is still like back here. What that tells me is a couple things. One, a thrower didn't get over their left out the back. Two, they don't have a very good stretch reflex out the back. Three, it could be their hips are disconnected. Four, they're over-rotating, which is usually the big cause of it, because if you over-rotate, now you're going to spend way more time on the back. So you're kind of just stepping through the ring instead of actually creating force and sprinting out the back. And then another very common reason is you're just not producing force. I know that seems kind of simple, but I mean, it could literally just be that. It could also be that you're too upper body dominant and you're not actually moving your legs as fast as your upper body. So the legs always need to be faster than your upper body. The only time the upper body is faster is when you're like about to release and the legs are done working the ground. All right, so, but we get here. Really excellent timing. So the knee is here. The foot, I tend to like to coach like a Virgilia Selecta type of left foot here, where the feet are really close, stay pretty close to the ground. This is fun though. I mean, it doesn't really matter as long as you can get it down fast. It's just kind of harder when the foot is all the way up here, because then it just takes a lot longer. However, if you're an absolute monster and you're patient, then you can get away with this. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of hard to do. Again, my favorite thrower ever, Gerd Kanter, he threw like this. He actually had this kind of left foot in the middle. So, yeah, not a bad thing. And you also notice right here, keeps a stiff ankle. So he's not on his tippy toes here. But what he does is Oh shoot, wait, what? Okay, there we go. I like to say flexing the like front part of the shin right here. Oh, of course it won't let me mark stuff. Okay. I've talked about that in a couple other videos, so but basically the heel doesn't drop, but it doesn't go up either. So the way it lands in the middle, it has to stay there, and it's just gonna keep rotating. Now he doesn't keep it rotating, so I like once you hit the middle to actively rotate instead of relying on the momentum. It just depends on how much momentum and how much rotational force you can generate out the back. So for him, he's a lot more linear of a style of thrower, so he's not producing as much rotational momentum as like a Dakers or something. So if it was me, I would prefer him to turn his right foot and land just a little bit more to the right foot pointed 90 when this left foot touches the ground, but that's like a here or there kind of thing. And so when he's here, what he also does, and what I really like too, and what a lot of people don't like, but this is a very, honestly, the more I watch his throw, the more similarities I see between me and him. We actually throw pretty similar, which is very funny. I actually never made that connection. Not saying I'm nearly as good as him. I wish I was, but like I bent this left arm too. Interesting. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But yeah, so it's not like the worst thing in the world. Some people do stall this right foot while the left foot grounds, and that creates, as long as you're patient with the upper body, which he is, then I mean that's fine. I personally just like to keep a continuous motion of the entire body, and I think just holding this for their upper body for that long is just extremely hard to do. Again, if you can do it, that's fantastic because he gets a tremendous stretch here. So let's talk about this left arm because it's kind of a controversial kind of topic in the throwing community because, you know, a lot of people are like, keep the left arm long, which is correct, but there have been plenty of throwers who have thrown super far with a bent right arm. I think there's a common misconception. When they bend their right arm, I want you to notice what he does with his shoulder, because his shoulder is more important than what he does with his arm. So you can move your arm to a certain extent without really moving your shoulder. All right, so what he's doing right here, so he touches. I guess maybe you can't really see what he does. If you guys want to take the time and look at like a Robert Hart, a Lars Reed, or like a Virgilius Alekna, the people who bend their left arm in the middle, there are others too, but what they do and what he does extremely well is that he doesn't let the shoulder go in. So the shoulder is doing what the long left arm would do, which is going out and around and getting a stretch. The shoulders are more important than the arms for the left side or the non-throwing side. Now, obviously, the arm holding the discus is very important. But it's going around still. So it's not just collapsing and like pulling in. It's still patient and going around. And with the elbow, he's going more around with it as well. So he's not a common reason why throwers and coaches don't like the bent left arm is because you can easily pull. However, if an athlete does it naturally, they don't have a pulling problem, or it's very hard for them to throw with a long left arm, and it's not really like a detriment, I don't see it as that big of a deal, to be quite honest. So if you're a coach and you think this is a detriment, first of all, by all means, like I'm not coaching your athletes, so you can do whatever the hell you want. But in my opinion, I just don't think it's really a detriment. And if someone like Claudio, who's thrown 67 meters and is in this throw throwing like 64 meters, am I gonna really nitpick that hard and be like, oh well, if you bent that left arm, you would have thrown like 70? No, I don't think so. Like, he still gets the same effect as if he had a long left arm. So as long as you're still getting that same effect with the left arm or the long left arm, I don't really see a big deal, honestly, with it. So, but off of that tangent, what I also really love that he does super well is that, so he's here, touches, but if you notice, the left foot's not grounded, so it's just kind of just tapping right there. And now he has weight. So a big thing I see in when people rush the front or kind of pull off or are too eager to actually release the discus. So what I see is the left foot just kind of taps, and what the thrower feels is, oh, I have weight because it's on the ground. However, what Claudio does extremely well is that the left foot taps here, he's still back. So right now, if he was a very inexperienced thrower, and I was a victim of this as well, so I know the difference nowadays. I wish I knew it way earlier of the tap and go. But what he does is he's here and he waits until he actually has weight on his left. So that's the key. So out the back, and whenever you're in single support, you need to have weight over it. So just because the foot's on the ground doesn't mean you actually have your weight in your center of mass. So a good way to check if you do is, so like if you're at the back, like you turn the 90 degrees, pick up your right foot. If you can pick up your right foot and you're not shifting back and forth, and that means all your weight's on your left foot. So that means you actually have weight on it. If you have weight over your left foot, that means you're way more balanced and you can actually do something. However, if you're just kind of just turning, you pick up your right foot and you shift like a foot forward over like your center of mass over your left foot, you're not getting over your left out the back. So that's a good sign. In the middle, you can tell because for like a drill purposes, if he did like this and just stopped here and picked up his left foot, if he shifted a whole bunch over his right foot, that probably means he's shifting too much, which means he's rushing the front. He's not patient. He's probably too upper body dominant. But luckily, he is not, which is why he throws super far. So he gets here, has the patience to wait until he has actually weight on his left foot. All right. And then I would like him to kind of turn his foot a little bit more, but he's turning his knees, turning his hips. So, and he still kind of pushes against the ground. So it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's a very hard thing to do. So this is about how majority of discus throwers actually throw in competition. Also, this is a competition, so he's not going to be the most technically perfect because no one is, because you're not trying to be, you're trying to throw far. And I really like here. So I know people like to coach a flat foot block where like the heel is still grounded. I mean, if you're a non-reverser, like a true non-reverser that does a non-reversing comp, so someone like a Robert Harding or a Lars Riedel, then yeah, sure. Even if you're a reverser, like, yeah. But I think you do miss the kind of lift on the discus if you never get here. So the big thing with this block is if the left foot doesn't stop. So you can still be on your toe, and what he's doing, and what I usually like to coach, is as the right foot is going forward and the right side forces are forward, the left foot kind of pushes back. So it's going to go like bum, bum. All right. But they're going to be like simultaneous. And what this does is it snaps your hips super far. So you get the kind of effect of like doing like a super heavy like split jerk and that time under. So when you're driving up and then catch down, it kind of creates that kind of similar snap. All right. And what it does is, so as he's pushing back and pushing forward, these opposing forces, sorry for zooming in again, they're going to create, oh my God, sorry. They're going to create a tremendous amount of force. All right. And it's going to be more of a short block. So he's not going to stay grounded very long. But I equate it more to like just like a snap at the front instead of a nice long work. Now, with this type of style, I really like that because he's creating a lot more linear energy. He's relying a lot more on speed. All right, so he's going to be a lot quicker at the finish. So he's not going to work the ground and stay super long like a Daniel Stahl. All right, he's going to get there and attack. All right, and I really, really love that for this kind of style. All right, so I do think he kind of rose just a little bit too early and is a little bit too high off the ground. But if you also notice, this right knee stays bent and it goes forward. All right, right here, and it stays bent right here. This is very reminiscent of how Mikolas Alekna throws. All right, so he gets here, and boom, kind of does almost a glide finish, where he sticks here, looking back, and then he recovers. Very nice recovery. So overall, fantastic technician. Does a couple really interesting things that I really like. Very hard to do. So again, this style is not for everyone. Not everyone can throw like this. However, if you can, give it a try. It will take a little while because when you do this correctly, it's going to dramatically speed you up and make you go a lot faster than you actually thought you could. So you just have to have that balance of swiftness and fastness and speed through the ring and patience. If you're not a patient type of thrower, this style is not going to be very good for you. All right, so you got to be very in tune with your body. You got to be very in tune with your technique. So it's definitely not something I would teach a beginner to do this type of style. But yeah, hope you guys learned something. And Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's. And thanks for watching. Have a good one.